Okay, hello everyone. Thanks so much for coming today. I feel like my presentation will be short and sweet as possible. I'll keep things moving. I have a few brief points to discuss and a few strategies for you all to go ahead and use to improve your students' learning success in the classroom at no cost. So the point of this is trying to use resources that we do have available that are already developed and that we can incorporate in our classrooms. So we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We don't have to develop anything. We can utilize what's already being shared. So now I'll go ahead and share my screen. So we'll start by using some baby steps here, okay? So we don't have to change completely everything overnight, but we do have this here. That's a zero-cost textbook that's available to you. And many people think, oh my gosh, I have to start from scratch. I have to reinvent everything and develop everything. And that's really not the case. You don't need to do that at all. You can start by incorporating small steps and making changes over slow periods of time. So how we can do that in Canvas, you can use your Canvas course if you teach in person, face-to-face, or if you teach maybe a hybrid model or solely online. Maybe you use the book titles that you can incorporate into the Canvas course. For example, deaf culture class. They plan to teach that in the fall. And so thinking about what's popular for that, deaf education, deaf history, topics that are, involved with deaf culture, using ASL, using English signed. So we kind of pull all of these things together. And once you have your topics identified, then we will go into OER, their website there. You can find something that's already out there. And maybe if you don't want to use everything, or maybe it doesn't exactly perfectly fit deaf culture, you can pick and choose specific things that match. And then you have something that will really fit to your course. There's things you don't like, you don't have to use it. You can be creative and really utilize specific things like Deaf President Now, for example. If there's an excerpt on that, you can now incorporate that for free. And so they have manuals there. And you can fill it in with other things as well. For example, if you found 8 experts that you wanted to use, like 8 modules that you have set up, you have 2 already established, and then what to do with the rest of them. Maybe you could find videos that are related to deaf education. And then you can compare those, use of sign language. You could find videos that will incorporate those modules as well. Basically, it's just a brief summary that students often many times they prefer movies to develop skills, and they use YouTube. Sometimes they save specific tabs on Canvas. So there's different modules on there. Yes, on Canvas that standardizes those. Yeah, commons. So when you're starting to fill these modules in, and you realize maybe there is a lack of some information, something's missing, it will allow you to scan without actually having to purchase the book. For example, cochlear implants. That's a heavy technical medical terms. But if you find videos or science topics related to that are more in depth, you can find books, and you'll be able to scan or copy those instead of having to go to the library. Hey, can you print PDF versions of these? It takes a lot more time. So that's another really cool thing. And many times professors don't utilize a whole book. They find specific things within the book that they want to use. And so maybe one chapter, maybe 5 pages, maybe one column. So you're able to pick and choose, which is really nice. And suppose you have 5 different books that you're pulling from, you're able to put them all in one place, and then you're ultimately saving students money. They don't have to buy those 5 books. Another really cool thing about this semester, we actually have 13 honors students. So I have those honor students, and they're helping develop and digging up the information, getting a compilation of all of the resources that are available. Other universities, they have their homepage established, and they're pulling a bunch of different stuff. And students don't have to necessarily research all of those things. There's Facebook, TikTok, there's so many places for short videos, and they love to just compile those in an Excel spreadsheet or a Google spreadsheet, whatever they want to use, and then share with the other honors students, and they all kind of work on it as a collab. So a topic, for example, maybe talking about deaf in America compared with sign language in other countries. So they can have a column with an ASL, an ASL column, and they can have a BSL, Britain Sign Language column. And then whatever research they find on the internet, they're able to compile those in the 2 columns and then really compare those. They're able to share with the professor. They can, upload those to Canvas as well. So it really creates a discussion from that compilation, and students are able to use that, and they're able to become honors students, and they want to help. They feel motivated in that. So I like giving the opportunity for research experience and leadership experience as well. Any questions so far? No questions? Okay. Another thing that I really like to do is creating games and fun activities to use in the classroom to get students, really engaged, to keep their attention instead, giving them participation course and points. I really don't do that within my class. So what I do instead is if they show up to class and they're involved, and you have like a Jeopardy game or something that they can earn points on, or they show up to class and they can be involved with a Kahoots game. So things like that earn points. I don't really prefer the right and the wrong numbers. I like to, dangle the come to class, and then you can play the game and then have that be kind of a review. And students are able to retain a little bit more of that information. They have the motivation to learn. They're competitive with their classmates. So I like to utilize that as well. Finding videos, you can use social media, as I mentioned, TikTok, Facebook. There's an array of stuff out there. Stuff that's generated from the community. Many deaf people are already creating those videos to share within the deaf community, and we can borrow those and things that are, current to what is going on now that really attract students and make them feel motivated. It's not these super old videos. It's current and it's interesting and it's updated material. And so videos like this, instead of saying, Taiwanese, their sign language, ASL, their sign language, we can actually have a side-by-side view to really see the difference. So I'll play this video here. This is just one example. And other discussion points about Super Bowl, for example, there was ads utilizing sign language, which was really cool. So asking students too, do you think that's a good idea to have deaf people represented at the Super Bowl? Maybe you don't feel like that's a good idea. Maybe it's not necessary. So starting conversations like that, it's really interesting to see all of the different perspectives. And, some students are really advocates. Oh, yes, we must include deaf. So far, there's been none. What's up with that? And it really empowers them to become an agent for change. And realizing that maybe, learning ASL, the purpose of that has many future benefits, in media and film and newspaper. So it could become more exclusive for people with disabilities. It doesn't have to be only deaf focused, but it could be race. It could be anything that really gets them to analyze themselves and see what's out there and what's available, and that representation, just throwing little tidbits out there like that. I like to plant the seed in their mind. Or you're also able to create your own content. For example, what I decided to do, I have a book. I will grab that now, actually. So this book here is called Signing Naturally. And in the book, they have still pictures, what's called still pictures. And so students can look at the pictures, but really it's very confusing how to sign it exactly because it's a flat version. So you can create videos for homework. Sometimes they forget the sign. So what I decided to do, I would sign myself, hard terms, for example, and I would have captions, open captioning here, as you can see the words pop up on the screen. So these are GIFs that occur again and again, so people can watch those and see the sign. If a student were to see a sign once, it would go right over their head. And so these repeat. And it's repeated again and again. And, different languages emphasize specific terms. And it's what I can do with these as well, with these GIFs, is I can remove the captioning, and then I could put them into a Kahoots game. I can have a question or a quiz. Hey, what's the sign here, for example? So we can use the same GIF with the caption or without the caption for testing if they know the words or not, and incorporate those into Kahoots game. And suppose I wanted to upload to OER, then I can put them in the website as well. And I plan to have my next Audern students next semester assist with the website, and they will really be sharing the OER material with the general public, and students are able to review that information and these signs. Social media, how we can use social media to really benefit and you utilize to our, oh, Rufus, did you have a question?
I have more of a comment. Wait.
So are you saying if you use GIF, can you share those with OER? Yes, the answer is yes. It's a public space, so it is released. And if you haven't yet shared and you want to share, making sure everything is the right format and the right website, you can use it for the classroom only, and then OER can kind of have like a bank, it's just all free information that you can pull from and put into, and then that can be shared amongst everybody. So it's a community of shared resources, essentially. Posts we can give to what they call the bank, and all of those will live there, and then we can borrow them as well, which is the really nice part.
I'll have to remember that and make sure that I look nice when I make those videos.
Yeah, good question. Thank you. So the same terminology here. So we saw 85 gifts, actually, for example. And many students totally forget, they go into class and they're like, oh, I don't even know what to do now. So here is something that my honor student also helped me with. They came to my house. It was during COVID time. And so they came and videoed and they signed the same terms. And then they added kind of something funny, like from Instagram. You can see like the little duck that's, all confused, or they had different graphics. The same terms that they have here that I signed clearly for them. And then they have it repeated, and it's still actually there on Instagram. So it's the ASL Grant 2022. It's a live open public page. And we've continued that on from last semester. Last semester was really great. Students added a ton of stuff on there. So that was awesome. Also, we have a Facebook page that students can join. They can write posts, they can share, they can discuss where they're going to meet up and study their ASL, different things like that. And it's really nice because it becomes accessible for the students. They already shared the link. They have little cartoons, they have sign language, and just stuff that's shared with the students. And it's never ending, it's continuous. So even once the class is finished, they can continue on here and still have that exposure from different sources through social media. And content that student shares, for example, on Instagram, there's actually one woman, she works in Saks, and she filmed me signing what to do. So what that we went to work, and then it was actually really funny because she was selling quite expensive cookies in Saks during Christmas time. And so we did like a cute little video, and then we added additional material to that, donations, more content, how it applies to their sign sentences, so they can really see, oh, it's cold outside, so I would sign things like that. And it's a really good way to apply that integration of ASL knowledge. And so working and, just being able to see all of these different things at home, I have children, I have a family. Many students are over 35. And so they're in ASL maybe 3 or 4. They have families, they work. And so making sign that applies to their life, something that they can incorporate with their children, maybe makes it more meaningful for them. Honors students also help with next semester, thinking ahead, thinking, oh, what do we need to do on this next semester? So right now we're in spring, we're now thinking of fall plans, how we can help kind of tweak things, reducing the cost of textbooks, making students feel more engaged, more motivated, and feel that it's benefiting them a little bit more. Also, having honors students research for you, that's a great way to get them in, whether it be in class. You can offer extra credit opportunities. Really, students get very encouraged thinking about their futures, their resumes, if they're going to be going to grad school, getting their bachelor's degrees. And so letters of recommendations, hey, if you want this, maybe more one-on-one experience, things like that, kind of a trading system to get students more connected and more motivated to really be thinking about the future. And that's how courses become stronger and more interesting, just incorporating multiple perspectives. And also making social media account. They are tremendously skilled in Instagram, Facebook. Me, I'm like, I don't know what's going on. And so I leave that up to them. The students love to, watch the numbers and the likes go up, and they love to do all of that. It really empowers them, and it gets them to really want to spearhead these opportunities. And student-driven content, it's natural, it's motivated, and it keeps students encouraged. And then also using, what students find interesting and what I find interesting, it maybe not be the same. Today's generation, they have different interests. And so we really need to respect that. I have them teach me in the same way that I'm teaching them. I honestly feel that they teach me more. And I almost feel like the roles are reversed at times because they're teaching me so much, which I really do appreciate in those students. And also as far as games, having user-friendly games. I mentioned earlier, Jeopardy, that is a great, great game. Many of them love to play Jeopardy. Even face-to-face, hybrid online, it's successful. And what I tend to do is I will make the topics and then we all play together. And if it's in a face-to-face class, you can actually separate the students into groups and then have them kind of take turns running that. Another thing with jeopardylabs.com, they have the templates already set and ready, so you can just utilize those. They have a ton of stuff, math, geography, history. They have a ton of topics. It's really, really nice. And sometimes if you borrow those, you can copy and then you can actually make edits. So you don't have to start from scratch. You're able to borrow a template that's already made, make the changes, and then go from there. And for example, if you're sitting and you have this mental block, then they have these available. Kahoots is another great way to review at the end of class. So if you have your objective that you discuss in the beginning of class, and then you're teaching that material, at the end is typically review. Are they understanding the material? Are there errors? Are there weaknesses? Finding maybe there's 5 signs that are commonly mistaken. Taking the time to explain those again, and maybe where I didn't do a great job teaching, having the time to review and expand those, and then having that review available. And if, class time runs out or, people are out sick, you also can provide a link that they can do during their own time while they're at home. And you can still actually see the results. It will still populate on your end. Another cool thing is using H5P. And this is new to OER, and it's really been a great resource in learning how to ask questions and how to have, that dialogue between students. So I'm actually going to show you H5P an example right now. 1 second. Okay, so you can see my screen here, right? Everybody can see? Yes, can you see my screen? So I just signed tonight right here. I'll show you. So you can see the multiple choice area here will pop up. And then it asks, what did I sign? So suppose I click here this morning. That is not the right answer, of course. Okay, so now this expert here. What I signed was movie watch or watch a movie. And then you can see the options will populate here. So what I signed was movie watch. That's ASL order. But students have to actually translate that into English, which would be watching a movie. So it's a little bit challenging for them, but it makes them think. And then, they were right. They get a star. And then that's how that works. Okay, so here I gave students both the sign fun and a finger spelled it. And so I wanted to see if they could catch either or, the sign or the finger spelling. Some people sign or finger spell certain words. And so then it will populate here. Okay, and then they click fun. Okay, And then you can see they had 3 questions answered. Out of the 3, they got 2 right. Rufus, yes, you had a question?
Is this connected with Canvas?
Yes, yes. So you can connect it with Canvas. Yeah, it's really, really awesome. You have a grade mark, automatic grade mark. Yes, it does have that, and you can transfer those over. Same concept as the other division down sign press book that I have here. So I have homework that automatically will populate into grade point. And the H5P is used for quizzes, simple quizzes, activities, transition stuff. It's really, really awesome. And so my goal is to create more ASL resources that they can utilize here.
Thank you.
Any other questions so far? Nope, we're good.
Here's another GIF that I took from the internet. And it's an inspiring one. And it shows them how to say thank you. So it's a GIF, and then here it is, the man signing thank you. He has a lot of GIFs out there on the internet. And you can just, you don't have to take them all, pick the ones that you want to choose, and then you can incorporate those. Madeline, do you want to explain more? You had put a comment in the chat box.
Yeah, so H5P, that's where you make the content. You can create questions, games, activities, and then if you want to connect in Canvas, you want the points to show up, then you must take the H5P, you get like a ID number, you have to put it in, you make a class in Adapt, it's called, and that's how you integrate it into Canvas, and that's how the points will show up there. So it's kind of an extra step, but you can, I mean, you can take that H5P content and integrate it right into Canvas so that they can see the games easily, the videos, whatever. They can use that just for, you know, if the students want to, or you practice, whatever, that's fine. But if you want the points to show up in Canvas, then you must take that H5P material and put it into Adapt, it's called. I was just explaining it to Rochelle this morning. It can be confusing. You can look at the presentation we did from Monday, and that can show you a little bit more, explain more about that. Or you can email me with questions, that's fine, I'm available too.
I don't know if most of you know, but Madeline is new to OSR. She's one of our analysts at the City College here. So she actually made one of these examples for me. So when she showed it to me, I was like, oh my gosh, this is wonderful. So I thought it was a great feature to use. Does anybody else have anything they want to share or add so far?
I just wanted to say that I really enjoyed all of the different tools that you included, and that you use so many different types of technology where many of our students really like to spend a lot of their time. And so including Facebook and TikTok, because I think students are much more willing to share in those formats because many of the younger students are familiar and comfortable with that. And I think it also takes out some of the fear that they may have of trying to sign or learning because they don't want to do it wrong or they don't want to make a mistake, and I think especially in this format, they can practice a couple of times, different than being live and on the spot. So lots of great ideas and examples. Thank you.
That's awesome. That's great to apply. This is to ASL. You can also do it to all other subjects like math and biology, and it helps them review in addition to look at the content that you're going to be talking about, helps them with retention. And even if you're talking about medical stuff, like talking about the right valve and it showing the blood flow into the heart, and talking about when the heart stops and what the valves do and their the work. It's a really nice way to feature some of this kind of information, and to be also creative and incorporate ASL. And so you can use many different kinds of so the H5P is not limited to ASL. It incorporates all kinds of different fields.
And I really like having the honors students take an active role in creating and developing the content. I think it's a win-win because they're also learning ASL or practicing, but also creating content that is easier for the other students to benefit from. It's a great idea.
Yes, thank you for that. And I don't want to accept credit for that, because I do have to admit, when I worked at UCSD 10 years ago. Oh, I worked for UCSD for 10 years. And my boss there had 8 different grants. And they were like 1.5 million each for each grant. So we often had to pull honor students to help out with those grants. And we would try to get them involved because we were managing so many different grants at the same time. And it was very empowering and powerful for everyone involved. And it really enhanced their experience. And it also helped me grow my ASL program to use the honor students with the ASL in the ASL lab. It was a great way for them to show leadership also. Rufus?
So speaking about honor students too, something that I envision really taking things up to, more advanced classes, they have a ton of knowledge there. So I think honor students can kind of parallel to research students, right? Would you say?
Oh, yes, research for college level. Yes, definitely. With special projects, they have opportunities that students can learn from. I've learned that if you offer them options and ask them to help maybe develop a deaf culture class or something on classifiers, and ask them what subject they prefer to work on, they can make a choice. And then they're not so, like, if you just give them something like, I don't know what to do, but if you give them a choice, they're much more motivated to do the research. And the students prefer a lot of those hands-on work. It gives them incentive if you give them a choice of a couple topics, and the students really like that.
So essentially they're doing like the dirty work, right?
Yes, but remember, it's mutually beneficial for both of us. For an ASL 1 class for honors, you just to get into a UC. Plus, it also helps them, the university itself, and it helps them get ahead with their studies. And I have, with recommendations, it makes everybody look good. Because we have a lot of honor students, especially at the UC level.
Great, thank you.
Somebody asked a question. Rochelle?
About the resources. There's another question before. Chinizome.
Rochelle Zam? Oh, she was asking about the qualifications for honor students and asking about their interests and interests. What they do is they contact me. I have them contact me. First, I email them, and then I have them contact me with their interests. Now, Rochelle, you were asking about if I have some resources that I could share. So are you asking for specific websites?
Where you might have found some of those gifts that you were using. You said there's a whole long list.
I created all those gifts.
Ah, okay.
But there are other ASL gifts out there. You just have to look for what it is that you what you want. Just type in ASL GIF and maybe like thank you. In that search, and then it will all sorts of things will come up. And you just have to scroll through them and search to figure out what works for you. Are there any more questions with this topic? Rufus?
So OER, that's new for many people. And I consider myself old-fashioned. I like the old school approach to things. And so can OER be done in person, face-to-face, that approach for things? Because, it seems like it's a lot of tech online stuff, and I prefer in-person, face-to-face. So can OER really apply to both in-person and online? Or yeah, I'm just trying to figure out how it can apply.
Yes, I'm going to assume that your students are in person right now and they still have access to Canvas courses.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so instead of them having like a course book, you can take some of the information and upload it into Canvas. That way they can experience OER in person. Does anyone here have experience using OER in person?
Rufus says, I have 0, but well, I've used GIFs before. I use GIFs that I pulled from the internet. OER, no.
Nobody has used OER in their in-person classes? So maybe I can make a small suggestion. In the Canvas course, you have a few modules. And maybe you can put the topics there so the students can see the topics. Like, I don't know, a topic could be something like history in America in the 1900s. And you can look at the same topic in OER on the internet. and take some of those topics and then upload them into your Canvas module. And you can tell the students maybe when they're taking that, they don't have to read the course book. Instead, they can look at the internet, the stuff on the content from the internet that is loaded into OER. And you can replace those as needed also. It's a slow process. It's not going to happen overnight, but you can slowly replace that content that you have there also.
I was going to say, I've used an OER book in my face-to-face class, and it is an open source book that is in Canvas, but we do the activities and we do the lectures in class, so the students don't need to purchase a textbook. So the materials, it's really zero cost other than the cost of the class for the student. And that's been quite successful. Many of the OER books allow you to adapt them to your particular needs. So if there's portions of the book that you don't want to use, or you want to include your own, you can kind of pick and choose what parts, and it allows you to really customize the material and provide just what you want to focus on for your classes.
Thank you for sharing that, Rochelle. With that topic of teaching, what do you teach? What subject do you teach?
I teach personal growth.
Ah, great. Any more comments? If not, we can close the session. Rufus, you have one more.
Are you able to send me a copy of the PowerPoint?
I would be happy to, of course.
Maybe if you can share it, we can post it on the webpage.
I also took French with OER zero cost for my textbook, which was wonderful.
That's great. I mean, my goal for the future is to make ZTC for ASL classes, especially with the videos. Really, they depend on a lot of the videos, which is nice to have. And I can make my own topics and content in the books. So you can have all kinds of topics with diversity and things that are challenging to talk to. You can put all that stuff in the books and you can actually focus on those topics. So it's really nice to be able to feature those. Hopefully my goal is to improve what we have. Are we good? Thank you all for your time. And if you want to put your email in the chat, that'd be great. And thank you